here, and today this is just a quick process video for the lickety split video I did a couple weeks ago. One of those silly no word fun transition videos, which I hope to be making more of in the future. And I hope I'll get better at it. But I did say, I think, in the description of that I'd be sharing a process video. So here it is. I wanted these to be vertical cards, like vertical fold cards. So I just went ahead and cut my cardstock in half and folded. And now I'm going to take the colored cardstock and cut it into fourths. So 4.25 by 5.5. This cardstock, I think the bulk of it's smooth cardstock from Paper Tray Ink. I'm just kind of trying out a bunch of different brands. I might try Spellbinders next. I liked this cardstock though. I really have a thing for just pure colors, and I love how easily I can emboss it and stamp on it. So before this, I kind of cheaped out on cardstock and I would use pads from Walmart. And I think that's how I got so much of that freaking burgundy cardstock that I couldn't get rid of because I think that color is in like, I don't know, 5 different mixed packets at Walmart. And I was having trouble finding like just packets of solid colors. I'm still kind of having that issue. That I'm willing to pay for the solid packs of one color, but I think I'm going to start because I think it's worth it to have a high quality, appealing, useful product to work with. So I was getting really frustrated with the flimsy, kind of ugly color cardstock that I was getting stuck with, at least in the 8.5 by 11 size. And you know what? That was even at Michael's and Hobby Lobby too, because I would try them from there every once in a while thinking, well, big box has to be better. And I should know better. I really should know better. Because it wasn't. It was still crap. Okay, anyway. Then I went through my embossing folders. I just pulled some bold, simple patterns that I felt were kind of fun and would go with the colors. And so red, I picked the Viewmaster or the little film spools because my Viewmaster growing up was red, so that made sense to me. Orange I felt was a very energetic color, so I went with the arrows. Yellow seemed very celebratory, so I went with bunting. And then green, I went with kind of mermaid scales because that kind of fit for me. Blue, I went with clouds, even though the sky is blue, not the clouds, but still gets the effect. And so I have no brilliant reason for purple with chevrons, only it was the last design I had. So purple went with chevrons. All right, so those are my embossed panels. And I thought about using score tape here. I thought I might need it with, the bumpiness of the embossed panels, but my regular old ATG bulk buy off Amazon did just fine. So that's what we did. I did a full cover on the front panels. I don't normally do that. I don't know why, but I usually like to cut them just a little smaller and have a little bit of a white mat around it. And you'll see they didn't line up perfectly because embossing can tend to warp the cardstock a little bit. So I just sent these through my trimmer and cleaned them up if there was any obvious edges that were sticking out afterwards. But yeah, I went with a full color effect. Just seemed more fun and bold, and that's what I was going for. All right, so I cleaned those up, and now I'm ready to use my sentiments. These came in a Spellbinders card kit that I'd gotten on like Uber sale, and I just couldn't make them work with the cards that I ended up making with the kit. It just didn't seem to match. Like the black didn't seem to go with the other colors in the kit to me. But bold, bright, yes, let's do it. So it really seemed to pop with these, and I liked putting these together. It was simple but still fun. They've got glitter on them. I don't know if you can tell. If they'd been more dimensional, maybe then it would have felt, I don't know, if they were more substantial, I would have felt better on a more substantial card. I'm not sure. But with glitter stickers and they were kind of thin, I thought they did awesome. And again, I was a little worried about how they would adhere to the bumpy surface, but they had excellent adhesive. So 5 stars. It was great. And then here's where I ran into problems. So I decided I never, ever get good results with white ink. I never have, so I gave up several years ago. And all I do is embossing with white powder, period. I will not even waste my time with any more white ink pads. Like, somebody's going to have to invent something stellar for me to even bother. And as you can see, I did a horrible job with the stamping on this. It didn't work. What I discovered was my embossing ink pad was really dry. So I had to go ink that up, kind of goop it back up so that I could try again. So what I did was I, first looked at that list of stickers, and I also looked at my stamp sets. I found stamp sets that had teeny tiny letters to them, sentiments or parts of sentiments that were small. And I kind of matched them up. Like, okay, this word from this stamp set would match well with this word on the sticker. And then I set it aside because I knew that's what I would be using. And I did that for all of them. So I was able to find something that worked for 6 cards. And then I have the sentiments on one block, and I'm trying to just stamp them and emboss them. Now that time it got too sticky. So I kind of struggled with this, but I did eventually get it where I had 6 sentiments that stamped well, that cleaned up well with their embossing, and I was able to move forward. Essentially, putting them on the block on either side of the block, then I left that whole open area in the middle. It was getting embossing ink in the middle of the acrylic block, and then that was pressing onto the cardstock. So I had to just do 3 sentiments in the middle of the block, then do the other 3 sentiments in the middle of the block. I probably could have tried my stamp positioner too, but I didn't even think to drag it out and mess with it. But this worked just fine, and it cleaned it up. So I was able to get my pop of white sentiments against my black cardstock. And then I trimmed these out. I trimmed them as close as I could with my trimmer. Some of them are 1/4 inch. Some of them are a little bit more, like that U at the top is kind of tall. But can I just say there's nothing, like, this was so satisfying to see that high contrast of those white letters on the black cardstock, and then the high contrast of the black letters against the colors on the cards. I don't know why, but this was very, very aesthetic for me. This was very aesthetically pleasing for me. I really liked the bold and the contrast and the poppiness of it all. So I just trimmed them on my trimmer, and then I'm just gonna snip where they need to be snipped. And then I'm gonna stick them down. So yeah, I'm just using my ATG. It's a 1/4 inch tape, and so these were all about a 1/4 inch. If there was any extra, I just rubbed it off after I stuck it down. But I just, again, chose stuff that kind of went with it. So I had an "oh yeah" from like an Allie Edwards stamp set that I thought went with the fun sentiment, and then "happy birthday." But then I realized I meant to have "celebrate you." And because, again, remember I said the yellow I felt was kind of celebratory, and there's bunting, and yay, it's a party. So I hadn't stamped that. I got a little distracted at some point, I guess, or I set aside the wrong sentiment. I don't know what I did, but I was going to have to redo that completely. So I just skipped ahead and I came back to that because I was on a roll. I wanted to get this part done. Laughs and love. Is that like too close to live, laugh, love? Or is that acceptable? Y'all have to tell me. And I really struggled finding a good place for this one. You're the best. It just didn't fit between the B and the T. And if I put it up there, I mean, that's what I ended up going with because it reads, "you're the best." It's not like I could put "best, you're the," like by putting it underneath. That just wouldn't make sense. So I really struggled with that. I didn't want to trap the white space between it and the word best though, so oh well. And then I had to go back and seriously just completely restamp this, which was super irritating because I had just cleaned all of this up. Do you guys do that? Do you clean up like after each step? Or do you wait until you're done because of exact issues like this? I'm trying to get better about cleaning as I go and cleaning up when a project is complete, since my desk is out in the family room with everybody. But it's stuff that happens like this, where I've just put it all away and I have to drag it all back out. It gets very frustrating. Anyway, so I'm going to stick down Celebrate You, and then we're going to add some twine. This remains one of my favorite ways to dress up a really simple card. I just wrap some twine around the top and knot it. If it's really thin, like some type of really thin type of crochet thread or something, I might wrap it a couple of times just to add some texture, some movement. But this black and white twine was an awesome weight. It tied really well. It's from Avery L. And it did awesome. I loved it. I was even able to kind of shape the twine just a little bit, um, but it still had like a fun curve to it. It was nice. So I would just kind of eyeball it. I'm a little loosey-goosey that way with a lot of stuff when I scrapbook. And that means that I would also sometimes overshoot it, or I would short it and it wouldn't be enough, and I would set it aside. I have a bag, kind of like we probably all have paper scraps. I have a bag or two of ribbon and twine scraps, and I just put it in there because I have found I can always, like when I'm at a crop, I love to take these bags with me. I have like bags of random embellishments and these twine and ribbon scraps. I can add them to a layout and they add the perfect touch, and it works out. It's a great way to use them up, and I don't feel like I'm wasting it. So I still get to move kind of fast, which is what I like to do when I'm crafting. But I don't feel too bad if I make a mistake with it. All right, so that's it for these cards. They were super fun. I really enjoyed making them. I love the color and the texture that they have. Some of them are embossed with the image raised, and some of them are debossed. And that just was how I stuck the cardstock down. I honestly wasn't paying a bunch of attention to that. I just did what I thought looked interesting facing up. All right, guys, that's it. So thanks so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe if you feel like doing any of those things. And I will see you next week. All right, bye.